नमयों विष्णुपादाय श्रीगौरप्रियमूर्तये श्रीमते भक्तिवल्लभतीर्थगोस्वामिनामिने कृपया क्षमतामपराधिजनं कलुषायुतशक्तसुदीननरं सुपथे परिचालय सर्वदिनं प्रणमामि च माधवदेवपदं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 1st chapter. We are discussing or hearing the discussion between Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. The Vishnudutas asked Yamadutas various questions about dharma, and the Yamadutas are replying. And the last we heard yesterday, they were telling the Yamadutas, they were telling that the living entities, they understand the past, they can understand the past from their current life, and they can also think how it is going to be in the future, because today's life, means this life is an indication of that also. Whereas Dharmaraj is Sarvagya, is an all-knower. He knows everything. Therefore, even while sitting in his own abode, Yamapuri, he is able to understand the past and the future of all the living entities through his mind. And then they said that all the living entities are deluded. They think that they are this current body. Just like in the dream, one forgets the past, means one forgets his actual state and thinks that the body in this dream to be actual. In a similar manner, the living entity is forgetful of their past. They think that the current body, they identify themselves with the current body. And then Yavaduta said that there are 16 material principles, of which mind is the 16th. The 5 working sense organs, 5 knowledge acquiring sense organs, and 5 objects of sense organs, and the mind, together 16. The mind is the 16th element, and the 17th element is the self, Atma, the living entity. The living entity interacts with this material world through mind, means it comes in contact, the objects, the sense organs come in contact with the object of sense organs through mind. And the living entity is thus enjoying happiness or distress due to this interaction of the living entity of the mind with the material senses. And then the 51st verse, the 10, it is said, Dasha Indriyo Shabdasparshadi Pancha Tanmatra, O man, e Shodasa Kala Vishishto, Gunatrayer Karyabhuto, Durnivaro, Vasanamai Lingadeho, Punah Punah Jiver Harsha Shoka Bhai Pida Prado Sansar Utpadan Koran. So the 16th element, that is the mind, which is called as the Linga Deha. Linga Deha means the subtle body. The subtle body is under the influence of the three modes of material nature, and Durnivara Vasanamai, and the attachment to the material things of this Linga Deha is Durnivara, is not stoppable. Means one cannot refrain from it. Why? Because it is under the control of the three modes of material nature. The mind, because the mind is under the control of the three modes, the living entity's suffering, the living entity's repeated birth, the living entity's tendency for enjoyment is cannot be resisted. Means they have to undergo this, the living entities. Means as long as the mind is engaged in material things, or as long as the mind is under the control of three modes of nature, it is inevitable. The repeated birth, repeated death and repeated suffering is inevitable. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary says, Shaptadasha sthaniya se jiver a linga sharir karta, jaha shaktitrayam गुणत्रयेर कार्य ताहाई जीवे अनुश्रुति बोलते देव मनुष्यादि जोनि प्राप्त कराए. The living entity in company with the linga deha, the subtle body, that is the mind, the body, the subtle body or the mind is the karta, is the actor or is the performer. For any thing, there are three things required: karta, kriya, karan. Karta is the doer, kriya is the action, and karan is the cause behind it. Okay, the doer, the action, and the cause behind that action. The doer is the mind. The performer of the action is the mind. Why? Because it is the mind who is dictating the sense organs. One may see that, oh, what is mind doing? I am acting, I am walking, I am doing. But actually it is the dictation of the mind. Under the dictation of the mind, the sense organs are working. Right? So, like the government is there. The government is run by a person, whether it is a president or a prime minister. It is the government's law. Means it is the prime minister's law or it's a president's law. It is the order of the prime minister or the president or the governing minister. Government is not a, it is not a lifeless in a thing. Government, although the term may mean it's a lifeless thing, but the life of it is through the person who is giving order to it. So government's order means it's a set of governing people or ministers who are ordering it. So in a similar manner, The sense organs are working. The sense organs, behind the sense organs is the mind that is dictating them. So, the karta, the actual doer, is the mind. And kriya is the action. Why this action is performed? Because the doer is influenced by three modes of material nature. Shakti Trayam. The three modes, Sattva, Raja, Tama. When the mind is in the mode of goodness, very peaceful. He will not trouble. The mind will be very, very favorable to what we want to do. We want to do means in the sense that devotional, spiritual activities. Very peaceful. It's not disturbing us. But when the mind is under the influence of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, particularly, then there is a lot of disturbance, a lot of bad thoughts, and harmful, those to commit harm to others, those kind of thoughts will come when the mind is influenced by Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So, the cause behind this is the three modes of material nature. The doer is the mind, and the action is karma, that is good and bad result for which we are getting. So, this is Anushruti bolite Deva Manushadi Yoni Prapta Korai. In this manner, this mind is causing us, under the influence three modes of material nature, the mind is causing the living entity to pass through the bodies of the demigods, the animals, humans, etc. This cycle is we are going through due to the mind being influenced by three modes of material nature. महत बोलिते दुर्निवार अर्थात सत्वादि त्रिगुणेर कार्य स्वरूप यही षोडश अवयव विशिष्ट लिंग शरीर जीवेर हर्ष शोक भय ओ पीड़ाजनक दुर्निवार संसार चक्रेर विधान करे. So this nobody can escape. This passing through the various births is Durnivara. Nobody can stop it. The living entities are not able to stop it because the mind is influenced by the three modes of material nature. देह्यज्ञो अजित षड वर्गो नेच्छन कर्माणि कार्यते कोशकार इवात्मानं कर्मणाच्छाद्य मुह्यति. अज्ञ अजितेन्द्रिय जीव इच्छा ना थाकिलेও कर्म करिते बाध्य हन. The living entities who are ignorant and ajitendriya, those who are not able to control the sense organs, means those who are not utilizing their intelligence over the mind. If the mind is not dictated by the intelligence, then this is what is going to happen. The living entity who is under the control of, whose sense organs are not under the control, ignorant, even though he does not want to perform a karma, he is forced to perform it. Means the moment one is taking birth in this material world, one is bound to perform an activity. Even though we are going through various sufferings in this material world and we don't want to certain times engage in sinful activities, but still being controlled by the three modes of material nature, a living entity is bound to perform action. Nobody can stay without performing any action. कोशकार कीट जेमन निज मुख निश्रित तंतु हईते कोश निर्माण करिया ताहाते आबद्ध হয় बहिर्गमन पथ देखिते पाय ना जीव সেই রূপ আপনাকে নিজকৃত কর্মজালে আবদ্ধ করিয়া মোহ প্রাপ্ত হয় কর্ম মুক্তির উপায় জানিতে পারেন না. So the state of a ignorant materialistic person is being mentioned here with the help of an example. The example given here is of a silkworm. The silkworm, he brings the saliva from his mouth, and with that saliva he constructs a beautiful nest. He is constructing a beautiful nest. Means that's a silk actually. The saliva of that silkworm is silk. It's not like our silk. That is even utilized in the service of the Supreme Lord. You see, the Uchishta, that which is taken out from the mouth, cannot be offered in the service of Supreme Lord. The Brajavasis are doing it, but we cannot do it. And the excretion, those who pass stool, they have to take bath, otherwise they are impure. You cannot enter into the temple. But the cow dung is directly used in the service of the Lord. With the Panchagavya, with the cow dung also the Lord is purified. And the place where the temple etc., they are all purified, the cow dung. The bones etc., they are all impure. But the conch shell is the bone of an aquatic animal. The urine of the cow, that is also pure. So even though there are certain things that are considered as impure, these are the things that there are so many things that cannot be used in the service of the Lord. But even though it is the dung, it's the excretion of an animal, it's the urine of an animal, and it is the bone of a particular aquatic animal, and similarly silk is a saliva of a silkworm, but all these things are used in the service of the Lord. Why? Because there are exceptions. These are also the honey we are using in the service of the Lord. What is honey? It is from the honeybee's mouth. Honeybee is picking from various flowers and then he is collecting it one place. That's also Uchishta of the honeybee. But still it is utilized in the service of the Lord. So anyway, the example is not for that. The example given here is for some other purpose. Like a silkworm extracts silk from the mouth and then he is constructing a nice nest. It's called cocoon. The cocoons of silkworm. Now when he is constructing the cocoon, after the cocoon is constructed, you will see that there is no exit door. He cannot come out of that cocoon. He is lost in that cocoon. That's why when the shell of the cocoon is opened, you see the silkworm inside dead. So here, with this example, the Yamadutas are saying that in a similar manner, all the living entities bound by their karma. The silkworm is supposed to extract the saliva. It is extracted. He cannot help it. In a similar manner, the living entities being bound by the three modes of material nature, all the living entities are forced to perform action. And while performing action, they are bound by their own karma. Means they are ignorant and they are under the grip of the sense organs, therefore they are performing karma, they are forced to perform karma, and that karma which is binding them. Where is the exit? You cannot stay without performing action. And after you perform action also, you cannot escape from it. So the Yamadutas are explaining to the Vishnu Dutas how vicious is this circle. Nobody can stay without karma, and therefore nobody can come out of karma. And thus the living entities are very badly struck in this karma. Because one of the questions is, who is punishable? Who is to be punished? Whether all the living entities are to be punished, or is there any certain class who are not to be punished? Then they are saying that all the karmis, all materialists are to be punished. Because nobody can stay without performing action, because they are bound, they are under the grip of the three modes of material nature. They are ignorant and they are under the, they are the servants of their senses. Therefore, they cannot stay without performing action, and that action which is not for liberation, which is binding them. Therefore, karma muktir upay janite parenna. They cannot know how to escape from karma. They have to do karma which is binding them, and they don't know how to escape from that karma. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary says, এই লিঙ্গ শরীরের প্রেরণায় অজ্ঞ জীব কোনো সময়ে কর্ম করিতে ইচ্ছা না থাকিলেও বলপূর্বক কর্মরত হইয়া থাকে. Even though for some time a living entity does not want to perform action, still a living entity is forced to do so. Certain times it happens, I don't want to do it, but I am forced to do it. Many of us would have experienced such a case where we don't want to do anything, but situations are forcing us to do that action. Any action, XYZ, it can be good or bad or any action. I don't want to eat, but I am forced to eat. I don't want to, suffer, but I am forced to suffer. So any action, the living entities have no control over their own actions. Means whether they want to perform action or no action, they don't have any control. They are forced. তারপর কোষাকার কীটের মতো মোহিত হইয়া নির্গমের উপায় জানতে পারে না. So even though unwilling, a living entity is forced to perform action, and then after that, after performing action, just like a silkworm, they don't know how to escape. So there are two troubles for us. One is we cannot perform inaction, means we cannot stay without performing action, and we cannot escape if we perform action. Where to go? Where to go? If you perform action, you are stuck, and you cannot stay without performing action. So that is the state of the living entities, the Yamdutas are saying. Nahi kaschit kshanamabhi jatu तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत कार्यते ही वशम कर्म गुणैः स्वाभाविकैर बलात्. कोनो जीवई कर्म ना करिया क्षण कालो थाकते पारे ना. No living entity can stay a minute or a moment without performing any action. No living entity. প্রাক্তন সংস্কার জনিত রাগাদি তাহাকে বলপূর্বক বশীভূত করিয়া কর্মে প্রবৃত্ত করে. Whatever impressions one might have carried from the past births, they will force a living entity to engage in some or other action. It could be good action, it could be bad action, but the living entity is forced due to the past impressions. पूर्व संस्कार হইতে উদ্ভূত অর্থাৎ পূর্বজন্মের কর্মানুরূপ সংস্কার হইতে উৎপন্ন অনুরাগাদি সকলকেই অবশ অবস্থায় কর্ম করাইয়া থাকে. So all the living entities are thus forced by their own previous actions. We heard previously that the current state, whether we are enjoying or suffering, is an indication or a reflection of what we have done in the past. That is why a living entity, if he is in the company of a sadhu, he will be able to understand, I have performed, I am suffering such and such disease, or I am enjoying such and such happiness because I might have done something good or something bad in the past. He will be able to reflect to his past life if he is in the company of a sadhu. Otherwise, people in general, they think that this is a part of life. Happiness and suffering is a part of life. It comes. You don't have to be overly analytical about this. It's okay. It comes and goes, just like the ripples or the waves in the ocean. They come and go. So that is why you don't need to worry. Just go on. Just pull on your life. Why are you overly worried? Why are you pessimistic about it? The living entities think like this. And that is why being forced to work, they are thinking that they are very smart in thinking so, but they are actually forced by the three modes of material nature to work in that way. And therefore, the Yamaduta said that in a similar manner, one can think of the next life also. In this life is a reflection of our past life. It is also an indication of our future life also. That in the future also it's going to be like this only, it's not going to be different. The example is given of a spring. In the last year we had springtime, or let's say winter. This year we have winter. Next year we again have winter. But whatever winter, whatever we are facing now, this winter, it's a reflection that, last year also I had gone through this, so I should not do this way. I should, protect myself from the cold, or I should be doing this way. I should be taking steam. I should be taking this medicine. I should not be going out of a room. Whatever. We have to take precautions based on, what we have experienced in the past. But unfortunately, the Vishnudutas say, Yamadutas, they say that unfortunately the living entities forget their past. Just like we can remember the springtime, last winter I had this problem, but one forgets the past life. It is very unfortunate for the living entities that they forget the past life. But still, even though it is not spelled out, it's not pronounced here, said here, but still, if a living entity comes in contact with a sadhu, then he will be able to reflect. Here it is being talked about the materialists. That's why the topic of sadhu has not come yet. The Yamadutas are talking about the state of materialistic persons. That being forgetful of their past life, they are performing again karma. Now, why they are repeatedly doing this karma? Why they are repeatedly suffering? That is why the Yamadutas are telling that they are forced to perform action due to the influence of the three modes of nature on their mind, which makes the living entity interact to the objects of the sense organs, through the sense organs. And therefore, they are bound to perform action. Nobody can stay without performing action. But the catch here is that if one performs action, it is going to be again a cause of bondage. Just like a silkworm, again is going to be a cause of bondage. No action, he cannot stay. Silkworm cannot stay without action. But if he performs action, he is bound by the cocoon. He is stuck in the cocoon. In a similar manner, no living entity can stay without performing action, and if he performs action, he is stuck. Therefore, all karmis are punishable. This is in answer to one of the questions by Yamadutas. Are all karmis punishable, or is there any exception in this? No, all karmis are punishable. This is the answer to that. Labdva nimittam avyaktam vyaktavyaktam bhavatyuta yatha yoni yatha bijam swabhavena baliyasa जीवकृत पुण्य पापात्मक कर्म समूह फलोन्मुख होइले. Did we complete purport? Last verse? It's the same. It's the same actually. Same as translation. जीवकृत पुण्य पापात्मक कर्म समूह फलोन्मुख होइले उहा के अदृष्ट बोला जाए. When the fruits of the past actions, when they are, when they are shown, when the living entity encounters the suffering or enjoyment due to the past karmas, it's called adrishta. Adrishta means that which cannot be seen. That cannot be seen. Why I am suffering now, I cannot see. For what reason am I enjoying here, I cannot see. I think that I am lucky or I am unlucky. This is what we call. I am not so lucky that I can have enjoyment like you. Or I am very lucky that I have got so much wealth, etc. But this is due to some unseen past. We are not able to see that. Due to our unseen past, we are able to enjoy or suffer. We are enjoying the fruits of those actions. Sei adrishtei jiver janmer mool karan. And that unseen karma is the cause of our birth also. Why are we taking birth in an aristocratic family? Why we are taking birth in a very poor family? Why we are taking birth in America? Why in Russia? Why as an animal? All these things are based on our past, previous birth or karma of the previous birth. You see, I suddenly remembered one question. Many years ago, I think, one person asked a question that why is, if you are telling karma, all these things, then why there are, the population in India is increasing so much. You are telling that taking birth in India is out of, pious activities. In India, population is increasing so much. So that means there are so many good karmic persons doing good karmas. There are so many living entities, so many humans. Also, you don't see so many varieties of living entities in other countries as you see in India. In India, there are so many kinds of living entities. Then, I answered, yes, so many persons are performing devotion. So then the devotion is not complete. They are not that particular devotional, they have not perfected in devotion. And therefore, all of them, they are taking birth in India as a living entity, as a human, as this, as that. Therefore, the population is increasing. The reason is that maybe there are so many persons who are taking up. In other countries, the population is not as much as in India. In India, population is going on increasing because there are so many good persons, so many persons doing good activities, and therefore they are getting this opportunity to stay in India and to get this ambience. So, this is adrishta. Adrishta means unseen. This cannot be seen. And sei adrishtei jiver janmer mool karan. The cause of living entity's birth is that unseen thing. Tahake loya जीव प्रबल कर्म वासना रूप पितृ सदृश अथवा मातृ सदृश स्थूल और सूक्ष्म देह लाभ करे. And depending on that one's previous karma, which is not seen, which is unseen, one takes birth as a male or a female or other. Other means the animals. They are called as the others. As a male or as a female or as other living creatures. Means one attains the subtle body and the gross body based on one's unseen past. In the Yamaraj and the other demigods who are the cause or who are causing our birth, they are deciding our birth based on our past actions. Here, the living entities have got no choice. Living entities are just forced. By performing one kind of an action, whether we will get a man body or a woman body or an animal body is depending upon what kind of action we have performed in the past. Shri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes in the commentary, এই প্রকারে নিমিত্তম লব্ধ্বা, নিমিত্ত বলিতে পূর্বজন্মের কর্মরূপ অদৃষ্ট কারণ আশ্রয় করিয়া সেই কর্মানুসারে জীবের ব্যক্ত ও অব্যক্ত অর্থাৎ স্থূল ও সূক্ষ্ম শরীর হইয়া থাকে। There are two bodies, one is a manifest body and other is a manifest body, or whether one is a body that can be seen, other is a body that cannot be seen. The body that can be seen is called the gross body, and the body that cannot be seen is the subtle body. Nobody can see the subtle body. Subtle body can only be experienced. It cannot be seen. Just like mind cannot be seen, but mind can be experienced, or mind can be understood to be present by its action. What is that action? Thinking. He can do that thinking. The thinking action or the thought process is going on in the mind. So, by the action, one can perform, one can understand the existence of the mind. So, the subtle body in a similar manner is called as the unseen body, and the gross body is called as the seen body. So, according to one's past karmas, which is not to be seen by the living entity, one gets this gross body and the subtle body. Not only the gross body, even the subtle body we get due to our past karmas. The mind is also cause of, as we already heard yesterday, that the subtle covering on the Atma is what is carried forward to the next birth. Gross body is finished, but the unseen body is what that goes along with the Atma. Means this covering will be there. One attains a kind of a mind in the next birth according to what actions he has performed in the past. यथा योनि कखनो मातृसदृश, यथा बीजम कखनो पितृसदृश, एवं कखनो उभय सदृश, स्वभावेन हिंसत्व सौम्यत्व रूप स्वभावेर द्वारा युक्त स्थूल और सूक्ष्म शरीर लाभ होइया थाके. Sometimes he attains a male body, sometimes one attains a female body, and sometimes a mixture of the two, means in the sense the animals. So, animal body, a male body or a female body or a trees, etc., all these things are in the neutral gender. The trees, etc., they are in the neutral gender. So, one gets body in any of these things according to one's past karmas and swabhavena, and one's nature. One is very cruel, one is very peaceful, very polite, respectful and violent. All these kinds of nature also come in one's sukshma deha, means the subtle body, according to what one has done in the past. So, if one is performing some bad actions, or one has a very a harmful mind, that is due to his past karma, which is not to be seen. Nobody can see the past, and because of that he has attained that. Okay, so we will stop here and then continue tomorrow. So we are slowly getting to the place where the Yamadutas come to back to Ajamila's, what Ajamila was before and how he was, why he was performing such actions, all these things. Because so far they talked about the karma, how the karma is in the cause of bondage, and how the past karma is influencing our current birth, and how the current karma is going to influence our future birth, and therefore we can never get out of this shell of material sufferings. So far we heard about this. Now we will slowly come to Ajamila, but tomorrow we will read about Gopal Bhatta Goswami. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग गांधर्विका गिरिधारी श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन पंचतत्वात्मक श्री गौर हरि की जय। परमाराधितम पतित पावन स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति वल्लभ तीर्थ गोस्वामी श्री गुरु महाराज की जय। नित्यलीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद प्रवंश स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद भक्तिदयित माधव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। जगत गुरु श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री श्री रूपानुग गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय सपरिकर श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन श्री श्री राधा गोविंद श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ जीव की जय। जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण की जय। जय श्री कृष्ण द्वैपायन वेदव्यास महामुनि की जय। श्री सुखदेव गोस्वामी एवं परीक्षित महाराज की जय। समागत भागवत श्रवणकारी भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री हरिनाम प्रभु की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे।